Good morning. My name is Reverend Clyde Gamble with the U.S. Military Veteran Family Resource Center. And this morning guest is going to be Darryl Brown, and we were going to be talking to Darryl Brown about his experience while in the military. Good morning, Mr. Brown. I'm glad to welcome you to the U.S. Military Veteran Family Resource Center.
How you doing?
So, Mr. Brown, tell me a little bit about your career. When did you first come in the military?
December of '75.
Okay, and what are some of the things that you were involved in while you was in? What units?
I went in field artillery. I was a Lance Mr. Crewman. I was sent to Germany for about 2 years. I worked on a firing team as well as an FDC, Fire Direction Center. And I did about 8 months as a turret mechanic for the Airborne Reconnaissance Assault Vehicle, the Sheraton tanker.
So you really had quite experience then coming into the military.
Yes, and a cold experience as well.
Okay, so how many years did you do in the military?
I've got about active duty and reserve combined, about 21 years.
About 21 years in the military.
Correct.
That's quite a bit of years that you have spent then. And so while in the military, tell me, have you had any injuries that were sustained or aggravated by military service?
Yes, I did. I was in an auto accident when I was in the reserve program. I also sustained some problems in Germany. Frostbite, and I worked around the tanks, all the loud noises, the constant firing, training, and things like that.
Okay, so you've been through quite a bit while you was in. Have you how did you come to know about the U.S. Military Veteran Family Resource Center?
Well, I was referred by a friend who's also a veteran. So when he told me I met you at Mare Island a couple of years ago, and you had a program going. So you told me you had a program going. So I followed up, seen it come about.
Okay, so what do you think about the U.S. Military Veteran Family? Have you really been helped or assisted in getting some of your benefits and stuff?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Kind of helping me out and assisting me with some stuff, the injuries, active duty, and reserve, and plus we're also looking at trying to get my retirement together.
Okay, so you've really been helped by some of the benefits and stuff that has been offered to you by the Veterans Administration. Tell me, how long have you been trying to find out about the different benefits?
Well, you know, it's a lot of things you don't know and a lot of things you hear. But since I've been involved with this organization, learned a lot. There's a lot of information out there. This place is a wealth of information, correct information, and I like that. Just a lot of things going on out here, and people should really get a little more involved and find out their entitlements, things like that, spouses, dependents, as well as veterans.
Okay, so tell me, what do you particularly like about what we do here at the U.S. Military Veteran Family Resource Center?
I like the service that's provided, assistance. I have to say again, it's just a wealth of information that's being provided for the veterans. A lot of us just don't know. This is an excellent source to find out.
Okay, and so now do you have health care finally?
Yes, I do. I have a VA card. I'm in the VA system.
Okay, so you actually have a primary care doctor now?
Yes.
Okay, and so have you filed a claim for any of your benefits?
Yes, for some of the injuries that we spoke about earlier, I have a claim. I have received a letter from VA telling me that my claim is being processed.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And so what do you plan to do from this point on about telling people about the services that they're entitled to?
Well, I'm constantly telling people about it. I like coming down. I like to volunteer down here. I just like to be a part of something I think that's necessary, that's due, and that's owed to the veterans of this country.
So you really think a lot of people is being helped by this organization really educating people on the various benefits under Title 38?
Correct.
Okay, what do you think about Title 38?
It looks overwhelming initially, but when you get involved, everything just seems to fall in place. It all makes sense.
It all makes sense.
Especially when you have the documentation. It's really not as complicated as it appears at first.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about the people that you meet coming down here on a day-by-day basis?
Well, one of the things that moved me is to hear how the spouses were so unaware of benefits and things like this that they were entitled to. So when they come in needing aid and assistance, I say again, providing the information, getting them in the system, and getting them taken care of, as well as some of the senior veterans.
Okay. So tell me about the senior citizens. What do you think about them? The type of care that they may or may not be getting?
Well, I think once you get into the system, once you're recognized and you're qualified, I think the VA has a pretty good healthcare system. One of the things about aid and attendance, some of them are living at home, they just don't get around like they used to. A lot of them come in and find out that they can get some aid and attendance for themselves as well as their husbands or spouse.
Okay. Tell me about some of the veterans that you see homeless walking the street, or maybe you might see veterans that is involved in some type of activities that may not be considered to be lawful. Tell me about what you think about some of these veterans that are in some of these places that is in various communities throughout our county and our state.
Well, one of the things that I've learned because of the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, there's a big denial issue, the trauma. Each of them have their own story and they all experience different things, even though sometimes it might be common, just a trauma from war. But it has an effect to see these guys and to see these guys come home. What I find out is a lot try to get help or seek help. And initially they're turned off, or maybe they're going to the wrong resources. So a lot of them just give up and they move on with their lives, but they carry this trauma around with them. And I found out from being around here and learning some things that the spouses, a lot of times, have a lot of information and they deal with them constantly. They're living with them, so there's a lot of things that the general public does not be aware of that the spouses are living with daily. So there's a lot of information about that, and it's kind of hidden sometimes. Sometimes the vet tends to don't even want to talk about it and closes off. And the spouses have been dealing with that for years. But when they come down here, they get some information and they're assisted pretty good.
Let's talk about some of the veterans that may have been incarcerated in some of our institutions throughout California. You think that if they would have known about all the benefits that they were entitled to, you think that it could have been some type of intervention or prevention of them committing some type of crime and ending into the judicial system? Do you think that if they was aware of all of the benefits under Title 38, do you really think that it would have probably stopped them or gave them a thought, or maybe made them aware that there was and is help out here that probably could have helped them or prevented them from going or committing the crime?
No question. As I stated before, a lot of them just don't know. When I got out, I realized years later that there was so much information that I wasn't aware of. And these guys, I was peacetime, never served in combat. But these guys, when you're just told to go home and you go home and you have a family, you have to pay bills, they just move on. They just carry the load with them and they move on. So definitely, to what you were speaking about. Yeah.
Okay. Now, we know that out here on the street, every day it's becoming more dangerous, and we have soldiers that is coming out of combat and coming out of military who is well trained, and they're not able to get a job. They don't know about all of their benefits under Title 38, and they start getting involved in different activities, gang activities. Tell me, what do you think that probably will lead to in the future, that if we do not take this time in this present time to deal with these issues at hand?
Well, I think, my personal opinion, I think it should start with the active duty services that they're serving, Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, and Coast Guard. I believe there should be somewhat a minimum of a week of a debriefing and provide them with a lot of information and let them know the benefits that are available to them once they become out and become civilians. I think it starts there. And then I think you need nice organizations out here in the private sector to support what is being initiated in the military.
Okay. As you well know, we have a lot of veterans that are incarcerated and throughout the 32 or 33 prisons here in the state of California, as well as a county and other organizations. And that alone, with the many veterans that are being incarcerated, a lot of money is paid by the taxpayers to incarcerate each one of these individuals in the institutions. Do you think that had there been an educational program set up by the VA to educate, like you said earlier, most of these men and women who've served in uniform and served their nation, that if they was well aware of all of the benefits under Title 38, that it could make a great difference in our community, state, and nation.
There's no question. There's no question. And you see some of the TV commercials. Veterans have a lot to offer. They've experienced things that most don't. Not necessarily in a negative sense. Just the traveling, the cultures, things like that. So they have a lot to offer.
Well, let me ask you one last question before we finish. Tell me, how do you feel since you've been able to come down to the U.S. Military Veteran Family Resource Center, and how you see a change now that in your life that you did not see before, since you were able to get most of your work done and your paperwork submitted?
I think it's outstanding. I feel pretty good about it. About myself, like I said, knowledge is power. Knowledge is key. So to come down here and learn some things according to Title 38 and the CFR Code of Federal Regulations, when you start getting aware of these things, I just can't put enough emphasis on the veterans not knowing.
Well, Darrell Brown, I'd like to thank you for coming down and being a part of this program on this morning. And I look to see you further in the future. So God bless you. My name is Clyde Gamble of the U.S. Veteran Family Resource Center. And we just got to interviewing Darrell Brown. And he was sharing with us his time in the military, some of the things that he had went through before finding about this organization and what we do to try to help veterans reclaim their dignity, integrity, and revive their spirit and restore them as tax-paying citizens in their community, state, and nation. And so I'd like to thank you this morning for being a listener to the U.S. Military Family Resource Center Forum. God bless you and have a good day.